Hi, it's Carl reading another one of my Portugal resident columns here on the 29th of December 2023. Looking forward to the new year. We'll be back live streaming on the 1st of January 2024. Me and Mrs. M will be on Monday morning. So a couple more readings from my Portugal resident column. If you go to our homepage, I've actually written over 20 articles now for the Portugal resident, and they can be found on our homepage, goodmorningportugal.com. There's a home tab. Click on that, and it'll be a drop-down menu where you can hear user feedback or listener feedback. You can support the show, donate, or send us a gift if you'd like to. Meet the team. All the team posted up there on the website and the Portugal resident columns, as well as the weather, all on our homepage, goodmorningportugal.com. Anyway, it's getting towards, well, it's late in the evening on, what is this, Friday evening, and we're going into the New Year's Eve weekend. We'll be back on Monday, as I say. And today I'd like to read to you Meet Florbela Espanca. Oh, yes, you heard me right. Espanca. It will become apparent what I'm talking about as I read to you. So Meet Florbela Espanca and other literary legends on Portugal's Silver Coast from the 4th of October. This is my piece about a really excellent development in my local town, São Martinho de Porto, the Storyteller's Palace. Where in Portugal might you meet the likes of Agatha Christie, E.M. Forster, Emily Bronte, F. Scott Fitzgerald, James Joyce, Jane Austen, and John le Carré under one roof? Just a few meters from my favorite beach in the town where I happen to live is the place where these great literary names come together, albeit in spirit, giving their names to luxurious suites at the recently opened and appropriately named Storyteller's Palace. Among them, and representing notable Portuguese literature, is one Florbela Espanca, who, if you haven't been introduced, lived a tumultuous life that ended in 1930, comprising a mere 36 years. A life judged by Wikiquote as tumultuous, restless, and full of intimate suffering, that the author was able to transform into poetry of the highest quality, full of eroticism, femininity, and pantheism. The first two qualities of Florbela's legacy I am drawn to, of course, out of a natural human curiosity. That'll be the eroticism and femininity. Pantheism, too, having refamiliarized myself with it in the dictionary. I can also lean into believing São Martinho de Porto, in which the Espanca legacy lives on, to be the divine work of all and every god that ever blessed human existence. Pantheism. Comparisons to her, odious perhaps, might include Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf, the latter also honoured in the building about which I speak today, not least because her earliest known poem, A Vida e a Morte, Life and Death, was penned when she was just 8, clearly a serious child. Consider also, in joyous contrast, the celebration of her beloved Alentejo in No Meo Alentejo. Let me try that again. No Meo Alentejo. It's not an easy one to say. Practice this yourself later on if you want to develop your Portuguese. No Meo Alentejo, in my Alentejo, from a collection of her work, Juvenilia, Versos Inéditos de Florbela Espanca, 1946, translated on that occasion by John de Godinho. Sounds like a kind of half UK, half Portuguese guy, John de Godinho. This is the reading from that work. All is so calm and chaste, so like a dream, that looking at this masterpiece of God, I ask myself, where is there a painter, an artist so supreme, so profoundly wise as to unfurl a canvas with a more arresting scene, more delicate and beautiful in this world? Clearly, this short-lived poetic giant must join the likes of Pessoa and Camões on the shelves of anyone seeking to understand the soul and psyche of Portugal through its verse. But before I get too lost in my adoration of Florbela, I must return from the Alentejo to the place and person who first captured my imagination with intimations of her melancholy-tinged mystique. Earlier this year, a remarkable, if slightly sad building on San Martinho's Marginal was clearly being brought back to life. It turns out this extraordinary edifice is one of Ernesto Corrodi's masterpieces, a Swiss-born architect who moved to Portugal as a teenager and spent the rest of his life here. Corrodi married a local woman and became a Portuguese citizen, leaving in his wake over 400 creations, including the castle of Dona Chica in Braga, the Hotel Guadiana in Villarreal de Sant Antonio, the Algarve's oldest hotel, in fact, and the restoration of Leiria Castle and Leiria's Church of Santa Catarina da Serra. In the delightful Silver Coast construction around which this report revolves can be found the sumptuous rooms that carry the names of those previously mentioned. Wide-eyed and agog when treated to a post-refurbishment tour, room after room evoked and reflected the distinction of its namesake, giving me my first introduction to Ms. Espanca that would never be forgotten. Who though would dare to choose such an illustrious cast of storytellers and showcase these time-honored, geographically diverse greats with their own posthumous palace? Well, allow me to introduce you to Marco Areias, who took what was the captain's palace, as built by a Captain Jaime Pinto for his personal residence by Corrodi, turned originally in 2010 into a hotel that closed some 8 years later. Marco subsequently and completely renovated the Silver Coast gem and, calling upon his own prolific background in film and television, now promises potential guests a stay that is in itself an unforgettable story. São Martinho do Porto, in case you don't know, is a remarkable Silver Coast seaside town, not so much boasting, but gently and timelessly offering a large yet protected Atlantic-filled bay, loved over the last 100 years by Portugal's elite, as well as native rank and file, though mostly unknown to the world at large. The Storyteller's Palace, with its specially named 10 rooms, presidential suite, terrace bar, sea view swimming pool, green room restaurant, tea room, and Gatsby bar, has guests enjoy the proximity of Alcobaça, Caldas da Rainha, Nazaré, and Óbidos, plus a level of opulent 5-star detail that is unusual beyond the principal cities and more popular coastal resorts of Portugal, less than 100 kilometers from Lisbon Airport. Marco, a gifted and award-winning legend in film and television in Portugal and beyond, has made countless commercials, documentaries, and TV shows for the likes of McDonald's, Millennium Bank, Visa, American Express, Vodafone, Benfica, and Pingados. And this hotel venture is not his first. In 2018, he bought his first makeover property in Sintra, creating a first exclusive boutique hotel, the first storyteller's experience, garnering great reviews and enjoying huge success. His hard-won aplomb and superhuman levels of creativity have now found expression in São Martinho's Storyteller Spectacular, where, as well as the expected pleasures of a top-level hotel stay, additional and very thoughtful surprises await you. Try, for instance, a Christie Forster or Bronte cream tea after promenading the town's seafront, or should that be promenading? Or perhaps the Jane Austen apex of afternoon delights with its freshly baked warm scones, or should that be scones, single estate tea, the world's finest pastries, and a flute of champagne. Or pedal around San Martino Bay late into the evening, enjoying its shimmering lights on one of the establishment's bicycles, returning after midnight to enjoy a meal of the area's finest seafood in the Gatsby bar, like a carefree and romantic bohemian. I love my hometown and delight in it all the more for this edition of deeply thoughtful and beautifully presented local hospitality that can compete proudly on any global tourism stage. Marco and his team deserve success after such painstaking effort and curation, and I can't wait to share this jewel in the Silver Coast crown with others who may wish to join our Good Morning Portugal, Discover Portugal weekend in November of this year, which we had, of course. This was written ahead of that, and we had a fine time, and we did some filming, of course, in the Gatsby bar and in the kitchen of the Storyteller's Palace with Marco cooking for us. It was superb. With that invitation floating between us, so don't worry if you missed November's Discovery weekend. We'll be doing 2 a year from now on, so there'll be one in the spring of 24 and another in November of 24 as well. So with that invitation floating between us to join us in the spring or in the winter of 24, let me conclude with the uplifting words of Florbela, returning to Ms. Espanca. There is one spring in each life. You must sing it like spring, floridly, for if God gave us voice, it was to sing. And that's from her poem Amar, Shanika and Flor. Perhaps only in San Martino de Porto's Storyteller's Palace can you ask for the Espanca suite without arousing suspicion. When you do come, let us create new stories together with that sense of spring Florbela pantheistically speaks of in our hearts, in our steps, and in our voices, whoever or whatever God means to you. So there you go. That's the Storyteller's Palace and my write up of that brilliant establishment and its incredible backstory and the whole concept there. Actually, we can do mates rates for GMP VIPs. If you're a GMP VIP and a show supporter, we can get you a nice discount at the Storytellers as well. But come to San Martino, come and have a cocktail in the Gatsby bar or a nice meal at the Storytellers, or even treat yourself to a stay over there. Okay, I hope you're doing well. We're girding our loins for 2024. Me and Mrs. M will be on the morning show on Monday. And I'll have one more reading for you, which will be from my just published article after the revolutionary spring. Just talking of spring, weren't we, with Florbela Espanca? After the revolutionary spring, a Portuguese summer of love, question mark. So are you up for it? Are you up for a Portuguese summer of love? Hope you are. We'll be talking more about that in the coming days and weeks and months as we return to live streaming.